right. Hey, everybody. Welcome to Chris Anderson Comics. I'm Chris Anderson. Today, I have a fucking awesome guest that I've been wanting to have on here for a long time. Matthew Allison. How you doing, man?
I'm doing great. How are you?
I'm doing really good.
Yeah.
So this is your comic book Genepool episode.
Yes.
And I love these ones because, you know, when Twitter was a thing and stuff, people would put up that, you know, my comic DNA and stuff like that. And I would always have a hard time figuring out what to put up there because it's not like anything that I was going to put up there was something that you could look at my style and draw a direct line to or anything like that. But everything that I would put up there definitely influenced me or got me into comics or like psyched me up into wanting to do this for a living or whatever, you know. And I just think it was one thing for people to put 4 pictures up or whatever and leave it at that. But I was more interested in what people have to say about the things that they picked. So I love doing this episode. And you picked Atlas Comics Demon Hunter #1, actually the only one, right? From Rich Buckler. And I think it was 1975 this came out.
Yeah. Yep.
So first of all, awesome cover.
Yes.
Buckler, like I'd never heard of him before.
Oh, really? Okay.
Yeah, and there's always these weird holes in comics that everybody else seems to know but me. You know, like it happens all the time. But this guy was super, super interesting to me. He first of all, he created Deathlok. So,
exactly. Yeah.
One of the greatest designs in comics.
For sure.
The most metal, awesome designs in comics, right?
Yep.
And then very shortly after went on over to Atlas and created this character, but it only lasted for like 1 issue. And then he brought the character over to, was it DC or Marvel or something? And
Marvel, yeah. So basically I asked him about this at Denver Comic-Con, I think in 2016, right before he passed away. He was set up there, and I just said, hey, did you ever, because it's one of the few Atlas comics where there is only 1 issue. Some of them lasted 2, 3, I think a couple of them even went 4 issues. And this was just the one and done. And of course, you know, it ends with a to be continued.
Right.
And I maybe was reading a little too much into his reaction, but when I brought it up, I had him sign it for me. And I asked him if he ever, you know, started on the 2nd issue. And he just said flat out, nope. And then like looked away like he didn't want to talk about it. And I don't know if I had to guess, because of the fact that he ended up bringing the character to Marvel, even though it was renamed as Devil Slayer, probably had some bitterness because he probably had to sign over the rights to Marvel, you know, much like with Deathlok, to where here's this thing he created and now it belongs to somebody else. So I didn't bug him too much beyond that, just to get his autograph and leave him alone.
Right. Yeah. I mean, from that reaction, it sounds like there is some kind of story to that, you know?
Yeah.
I wish he would have said something because, you know, once these guys are gone, we kind of lose the story. And people, you know, and then it's like, you know, kind of revisionist history and stuff after that, where you only get one side of something, or you know, wish they would actually say what happened. But
like I said, I could have pressed him a little bit. I just
I'm not you also don't want to do that.
Yeah, exactly. I could have bugged him.
He's got to give it on his own, right?
Sure. Yeah.
I was like super impressed with the colors on this cover too. Just the way that this like gradient fades like just really well for the time.
Sure. Yep.
Trip. So let's open it up and take a look. There are some interesting things going on in here. So 75, like I feel like right around then, it's like from like 71 to 75 into 75 is like a time when people actually started sort of more and more playing around with layouts and things like that. Then, you know, the 60s were all pretty much gritty, like not gritty, but grid system, you know, storytelling.
Yeah.
And he kind of plays around with it here and does some cool stuff. You really saw it, I think, a lot went in like when the Filipino artists came over.
That's what I was going to say. This first page feels a little like Alex Nino to me.
Yeah, that's what I thought.
Yeah.
And just with the hand lettering and the cape and stuff. Mm-hmm. And so we get introduced to this character, and they call it, he's trying to he's the demon hunter, right? And what does he do? He's trying to prevent the rebirth of a demon race on Earth. His name is Gideon Cross. He's a telepath. Whoa, already just in this one box.
Yeah,
we're loaded up.
Yeah.
And he's more.
Yeah.
So he's the harvester of eyes, which is, dude, come on. That is the most awesome thing.
Well, so we'll get to the next page. You know what that is, right?
Yeah. But just the word of that is the sound of that sounds just awesome. Sure,
yeah. Well, and this page too, I mean, like, to me, this feels like a proto Spawn.
Yeah.
This character in general, and just this is the odd book out with the Atlas stuff. The rest of the stuff was pretty standard. You got a cop story, you got a barbarian story, and then this really stands out because there wasn't anything else like this with Atlas. So yeah, it's pretty unique.
Right. I almost feel like, Atlas was trying to like create a base to be another Marvel, right? Because basically it was like the former owner of Marvel, right?
Yeah.
And this feels like it's almost like their version of a Doctor Strange or something like that.
A little bit, yeah, for sure.
Then the layout's a little just trippy. So he's got the shadow cloak, an arcane weaponry from beyond, so he can make these like the sword like just appear. I love how it just like shoots out of one side of his cape and right into his hand.
Yep. Yeah, and it just I mean, Buckler at the time, I think he would have been like 25, 26.
Yeah.
And you just know, like, he's a kid. I mean, like, this just all feels like something that a stoner 26-year-old would come up with.
Yeah. He's like, well, is it awesome? Then let's do it.
Yeah.
He's listening to like what 75, so he's probably listening to like I don't know, like early heavy metal, right?
Right there, it says dedicated to Buck Dharma and the Boys, which is Blue Oyster Cult.
Oh, there you go.
So and they have a song called The Harvester of Eyes.
There we go.
He also, in one of the issues of Astonishing Tales with Deathlok, he dedicates to Blue Oyster Cult.
Is that really?
So clearly that's what I should have asked him about. Was like, did you ever get these into the band members' hands if they ever saw any of this stuff? So yeah.
Yeah, man. I'm surprised the Reaper doesn't show up or something. Right?
Exactly. Yeah.
Also, this page is phenomenal.
Oh, it's total Steranko.
So, and almost like a Bernie Krigstein thing. With
yeah.
Right?
Yep.
Because it talks about he's, Gideon Cross, demon hunter. And then there's this other guy that is this assassin, and he's just getting ready to, take somebody out. And he's sort of like conflicted about doing it, and it's just this moment to moment like really staccato thing that he does at the very end, and it's just very odd to see and super like I would totally steal that. That's a fantastic way to do time in comics.
This comic, the reason why I chose this was when I first started putting stuff online, before I even started doing any Kankor stuff, there was a blog called Covered. Robert Gooden curated this blog, and he would have people recreate comic book covers. So I recreated this cover. Okay. And then I thought, at the time I had nothing, I had no ideas for a comic. So I was like, what if I just redraw Demon Hunter, the entire issue? So I did that previous splash page. I have that somewhere.
Okay.
That I recreated. And then when I got to that page, I was like, I don't want to put in all that work. So I gave up.
Dude, it's a 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14, 15, 16, 17, 18, 19, 20, 21, 22, 23, 24, 25, 26, 27 panels.
Yeah.
That's a lot.
Yep.
But he really packed it in. And then boom, here we go.
Yeah.
There he is, chapter 1. So something that obviously, and I guess to some controversy that really sticks out is how much his work looks like Kirby.
Yeah. I always knew of Buckler as someone who swiped a lot, who, took on other people's styles. And again, when you consider how young he was, it makes sense. I remember reading this, I think it was a transcription of some convention panel with Frank Miller, and he was talking about, he wasn't really, I couldn't gauge if he was saying this in a derogatory way, but he was saying that the line between fan and professional in comics was starting to blur by like the early 80s.
Mm-hmm.
And I wonder if he was referring to like people like Buckler and Marshall Rogers, who maybe weren't as skilled as some of the older, but they clearly had a passion for comic books. And you can tell that Rich Buckler like loved comic books.
Yep.
Which again goes with like the Todd McFarlane aspect of it. Like this feels like something that could have been an Image comic had it come out, 20 years after this.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
It's funny that Miller says that, because there's a lot of like Guido Krepak's pages that you could put up right next to Miller's work, and you couldn't tell the difference between the two if you didn't know,
Yeah, for sure. I mean, Ronin is a pure homage to all kinds of different stuff. So that's, I was always wondered if he was including himself in that.
I mean, unless he was like completely oblivious, he would have to. And I get that too. We're all like built from the people who came before us, right?
Yeah, absolutely.
So we've got this is the assassin, and he shows up, and it turns out that they were like in the military together.
Mm-hmm.
He even saved this guy's life, but now he's going to take it because he is like an assassin, which is like a cowardly assassin, and so he's like not worthy to live, basically. And so he gives him the option of fight him or jump off the cliff.
That feels like I don't have enough pages to include the fight, so I'm just gonna have him jump.
So it looks like there's like people in bikinis and shorts and stuff. So I don't know if it's like a resort or something, but they have him like just jump off the cliff, and like, oh my God, somebody just bought off, it says.
Yeah, I guess this guy is having a party at his mansion or something in the Hollywood Hills, it seems like, maybe.
Yes. Yeah. But yeah, some sort of hills, because there's like pine trees all over the place. And
I just watched The Limey, the Steven Soderbergh movie.
Oh yeah.
And there's a very similar scene where Terrence Stamp goes to this party at Peter Fonda's house, and he throws this guy over the ledge during the party, and it's very similar to this sequence.
That's funny. There is a similar sequence in Stardust too, like the Fletcher Hanks things, where there's a panel that looks almost exactly like this, and I only know about it because I just did part of a Stardust anthology, and we did a callback to that exact panel.
Yeah.
So it's like a trope, I guess.
We'll talk about Fletcher Hanks type stuff. Look at that. His arm as the guy. Yeah. What is that? Like, why would you just like, don't even bother with the forearm? What is he leaning on? It's like his shoulder's out of whack. He like dislocated his shoulder or something. I don't know.
That kind of hurt now.
Yeah.
So this is kind of cool though, where this guy's kind of like looking at him, and he's like, "Oh, the boss is good at handling unpleasant situations, eh? Oh, I thought I saw something weird, but it's only Cross." Yeah. So he has this like ability to disguise himself, basically, for other people to see, is like magical thing, but he let it slip for a second here.
Yeah. And I don't. Without the text, I don't know if you would catch that because of the way it's colored. Mm-hmm. I guess you see the guy diving behind him,
right?
But they should have kept the same color for the sky. But yeah.
Yeah, that is kind of an odd choice. But then he steps in, and it turns out that he was like hired or is working for this really really cool guy in his robe that can contort his arms.
Yeah.
So he's telling he gave him the choice that he could fight him or jump off the cliff, and he jumped off the cliff. So
there you go.
I always love looking at the ads in these things too. It's just
there was something in here I need to look up to see if I can find it. I can't remember what it was, but yeah, something caught my attention.
Trip. So they kind of go on to talk about how like he's working for this sort of cult, right?
Mm-hmm.
And this guy is one of the leaders of the cult, I guess. There's a couple of them, and they're also businessmen.
Yes, yeah.
So he cuts his hand here and puts it in this thing. Now, what is this? What was this thing again? It's like a...
Oh yeah, they refer to it as a very specific name. It's like some sort of blood chalice, blood flask.
Right.
Yeah.
And it gives him his powers or something.
I guess it's a little.
Yes. Yeah. Something weird. And so he's talking about this is his partner, this guy in this wheelchair here, and he basically is like, I need you to take him out.
Yeah.
And so he kind of has to do what this guy says, but he's starting to feel conflicted about it.
Well, and then that last panel where Demon Hunter is like just lounging.
Yeah.
It implies that like he's just always in that costume.
Right.
So he can obviously change how people perceive him, but in general, like that's just his walking around outfit.
Yeah. As you do.
Yeah. The outfit now, and looking back at that, it reminded me a little of it's like the Human Fly. Have you seen that comic?
Yeah.
Roughly same era, but basically like take that, cut out his face, and throw a cape on him.
Right, exactly.
Same costume, yeah.
I love this panel too, and it's like this odd choice where he does this thing around it, makes it almost look like a sticker or something.
Yeah.
That line that's around everything that became like really popular in the early 2000s.
Yeah, and also I'm wondering like if he was originally going to fill that in with black.
Yeah,
because those white areas make it seem. I mean, to me, that should be filled in with black. Arthur Adams used to do that a lot, where he would have these heavy white outlines when he had a black background. But
yeah.
Given that you've got this, cult ceremony happening, that should be black behind there, and they probably like, no, that's too much ink.
Yeah. So they just sort of start to explain how he was in. He got back from Nam.
Mm-hmm.
No one was there to meet him.
Yeah.
The cult at least gave him some purpose.
Yeah. He
went home to see his wife. And she was like gone. And so he just sort of lost his purpose, and he was good at shooting. And so the cult found him, right, basically, and like made him into sort of their weapon. He said it was a hellish life. I spent all my cash on women and whiskey.
That's right. How is that hellish?
Yeah, right.
Pretty great. What's the problem?
What are you talking about? Poor guy.
Yeah.
Oh man. Let's see here. There's like it's pretty dense for being such a simple-ish thing.
Sure.
And then so he's like basically sent to take this rival of this guy out, and while he's like on this private plane, he sees the newspaper headline that this guy killed himself.
Coward.
Like, what? Yeah, what the heck? Yeah, right. And so he lands, and he basically thinks that the cult has turned on him and knows that he was coming to murder this other guy who's also part of the cult, the business partner.
Yeah.
And so he goes into this storeroom, and waiting for him in there is this demon, which is awesome. Look at that, like Kit. It's like Gene Simmons.
Oh, totally.
Yeah, like it's basically just a blue Gene Simmons.
Yeah, and I just saw solicited a book called KISS-ploitation of all these examples of KISS-like characters in TV shows and comic books and stuff, and this would have fit right in there.
Yeah,
I did redraw that panel too. I think that was one of the first things I was like, oh, this panel's too cool not to do. So
yeah, that feels like something you would have
Yeah.
drawn just for the fun of it.
Yep. Yep.
So he goes and fights this guy, and he's like, I'm this crazy demon, and he's like, no, you're not, and he's like, yeah, you're right, I'm just like a a kind of a lamer demon.
Yeah.
I don't know what that has to do with anything.
Yeah.
So he pins him down, and he's trying, the demon's trying to get the flask from him. He says, why is the flask so important? And he says, I cannot. He said, then by my mystic cloak, I banish you to the world of desolation. Oh no, poof. Poit, actually, poit, which is my favorite sound effect.
Yeah, that's pretty good.
And so he just like banishes him, doesn't get any answers. So kind of a pointless fight.
I will say, like, to give Rich Buckler credit, or I'm assuming he came up with this because I know David Anthony Kraft, I think, just did the dialogue, but the idea of having this, ability to cloud people's minds so that they see him in street clothes or whatever, but allows him to draw him in the costume the entire time. Otherwise,
exactly.
Punctuated with these little panels showing him in the street clothes, but then for the rest of the time, he can like be in the airport in that outfit and nobody's paying any attention to him.
Right, exactly.
Yeah.
So he decides that he alters his destination to where he was supposed to go. Instead of he's headed for Nigeria.
Mm-hmm.
And he goes, he lands here, he is in his like street clothes, right?
Yeah.
But he has to go climb this mountain, and when he gets to the top, it's the dark retreat, secret sanctum of the harvesters of night. It's ringed by 13 massive tombstones, which form a mystic barrier of invisibility. So whatever's going on inside of there, nobody knows, right?
Yeah.
He's like, I remember for my first time on top of this mountain, I was making a delivery for the mob, and I had a day to wait for my connection. So I decided to climb up here despite warnings on the contrary. So he just like, he's like, I'm gonna go be a tourist and climb a mountain.
Yeah, he's got time to kill. We're in his suit.
Yeah, in his suit, as you do.
Yeah.
And so when he walked into it, there was this like really cool looking demon.
Yeah.
So let me like bring that a little bit closer to the thing. This guy's awesome.
Yeah.
Yeah,
that's the thing. I mean, he's just drawing stuff that he thinks is cool. Again, it goes the McFarlane thing where it just feels like I'm just gonna have a guy fighting demons so I can draw demons over and over again.
It's funny too because you can see the Kirby face here that he does, like 1,000%. But he won't do it. He doesn't do it all over the place. So he's looking at Kirby comics when he's drawing that, right?
Well,
what's happening.
Maybe, but you consider Steranko was an even bigger Kirby clone.
Sure.
And these layouts are way more Steranko than they are Kirby. So I think he was just looking at Steranko really.
Yeah, that's a good point.
That's what I would assume.
The funny thing is I think that the thing that, like, if there is something to turn people off from looking at Kirby's stuff, it's his sort of like odd eyes that don't really look forward, that all thrown up, and the weird mouths that can kind of make people ugly that are supposed to be attractive.
Yeah, everybody has pretty much the same nose.
Yeah. And he chose to go with that, or both of
Yeah,
them really chose to go with that,
yeah,
instead of like learning the lessons of the energy and the bombast that came with it. They went with like direct copying faces, which I always thought was an interesting choice,
yeah.
But,
Yeah, he doesn't go for. I mean, there's no like Kirby crackle or anything like that.
not
So
much.
it's not
Yeah.
like if you've ever seen issues, I think 48 through 50 of the Defenders that Keith Giffen drew, he's straight up copying Kirby in that
Yeah.
book. I mean,
Yeah.
it's flat out Kirby clone. And
Oh,
then
yeah.
he went on to do. I never remember if it's Munoz or Sampaio, whoever the artist was of Sinner. I was getting them confused because they're credited in an odd way, but Giffen, he seems like a contemporary of Buckler's for sure.
For sure, yeah.
Probably same age.
Even later with Giffen, because there's like a Masters of the Universe issue that came out like not long before he passed, I think, that is like one of my favorite comics because it looks like Kirby drawing Masters of the Universe.
Oh wow, yeah,
it's a really fun one.
That's cool.
So this thing, it's coming at him. He says it's behind him. It's about to strike, and I pull my rod, but it was useless.
Yeah,
like, what rod is he talking about?
I think that's slang for a gun. It's his gap.
Okay.
Yeah.
Pulls his rod.
See, and I wonder if I don't know if they explain it, but that's why, now he's got this cloak that his swords are more his thing now. He realized he brought a rod to a sword fight. So he's.
Oh, right.
Like,
it's like a reverse Indiana Jones, right?
Exactly. Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah. So he he ran between the stones and found out later that he should have died, but he didn't. Instead, he collapsed and in spasming agony. But before he went under, I caught my one and only glimpse of the Grand Magus. He was smiling. Time passed. You are one of us, Gideon. You are in our full confidence. So they're just like grabbed him and made him into their, weapon.
So I take it then that's what was going on in the middle of this circle of tombstones. Is that character there was basically that's where he resides, and so now that he's in this other world, he can see him. Is that how you?
Yeah, I guess so. Yeah, because he's like, he's in the other world. He's partially, he's mostly dead at this point.
Yeah.
And maybe between two worlds or something.
Yeah.
It's interesting. So when he gets up there this time and he walks through, he is all of a sudden transported to this ceremony.
Mm-hmm.
And there's somebody on the altar, and it is the guy who supposedly committed suicide.
Yeah.
And I think he is dead. The victim died voluntarily. Is still that his still beating heart may feed the flames of hell. So maybe he wasn't dead. So they pull his heart out,
mm-hmm.
and a demon comes and obeys the summons, and so it's gonna like join this guy's body.
And what is the deal with that? They're in some sort of giant. I don't know if you've ever been to Denver, but there's the restaurant Casa Bonita.
Mm-hmm.
And you go through Black Bart's cave, and there's this big like dragon mouth that's very similar to that you walk through.
Yeah,
I think they changed it now. It's like a skull or something, but
it's very Dungeons and Dragons. But yeah, it looks like it's a stage or something because you can see like the other guys down here.
Yeah.
That's a great stage.
Yeah, it looks like some pre-code horror.
Yeah, it really does. So yeah, the demon comes, and it gets kind of confusing here to me because like all of a sudden this guy is the guy in the wheelchair.
I
some sort of transformation,
I guess.
there's a little bit of confusion going on in here.
Yeah, yeah. I wonder, to me, I'm guessing this was done Marvel style, where he just handed this over to David Anthony Kraft, and he was probably like, I don't quite know what's happening, who this person is.
Right. So he gets out of there, gets on the plane, and then is like, he's going to go to Jamaica.
Mm-hmm.
And look for this guy. Yet it says, yet the man he seeks is sitting very close indeed. And he's like basically like right behind him.
Yeah.
And says, let's see, he says, I wouldn't want anything to happen. I have a very important appointment with a man who's as good as dead and doesn't know it yet. Oh my God. So he's looking for him, yet he's sitting right behind him.
He's got all those photos of
That's a long plane ride to not turn around.
He didn't have to use the bathroom at all. I guess he could just go in the cloak.
Yeah, exactly.
Both ways. He just, yeah. Well, here's the thing. We don't know because we didn't see the second issue. Maybe they fight on the plane.
Maybe they do.
That's how that next issue would be. And that's
some sort of demon bird. They're in the belly.
Think about that, how great of a scene that would be, of the two of them fighting on the plane, then they get thrown out the window, and you could transform into a demon on the way down or something.
Yeah. Well, it'd be fun to do issue 2 of this, you know.
Oh yeah, for sure.
Get a bunch of people together and be like, let's do issue 2.
Yeah. Can you go back a couple pages to the ad for that one right there? The very special people. Yeah, I got something in here real quick. I have that book.
No way.
Oops. My dad had it when I was a kid. And it, I'm sure he ordered it from a comic book.
Must have.
He's passed away, so I can't ask him. But
sure.
Yeah, so every time I see that ad in a book, I was like, oh yeah, I have that. So.
The Struggles, Loves, and Triumphs of Human Oddities. Broadway Bookfinders from New York. You got to just send, what, 60 cents? Oh, $6.95 and 60 cents postage.
Yeah, mine doesn't have a dust jacket anymore, so I don't know what the price was, but that seems about right.
Yeah, I'm fascinated by this stuff. They're like the original X-Men, you know?
Well, I'll show you this too. So there is a man in here who's incredibly skinny and for some reason has this giant
butt.
And so that's me. That's me when I was like 10 impersonating that guy.
That is awesome.
What
the heck?
Yep.
That is so cool.
Yeah. Made a big impact on me.
Man, I love this stuff. Like Freaks was like such a great movie. I'm fascinated by it because you know it's not making fun of them. They're like actually like like that's the whole thing. Like if you're like laughing at people who are different, that's one thing. But if you're like appreciating them as people, that's I'm into that. I'm into that
for sure.
Yeah, man, this is a crazy book. And then you get Larry Lieber, Stan's brother was the editor on this, I guess.
Who fully embraced his baldness.
Yes.
It was, I am not wearing a wig. I'm not gonna go Stan's route. And yeah.
So funny. That's great. So when did you find this book on the journey?
I was reading one of the Tomorrow's magazines, back issue, or it would have been back issue. I don't think it would have been Alter Ego, but they did a whole issue about Atlas, and so they ran down all the titles and everything. And I was like, well, these seem like pretty easy to find because I'd seen some in shops. So I was like, I'm going to try to just collect them all.
Yeah,
they've gone up in price, I think, because these guys that are always like touting the key issues. And I think at one point there was some deal to make some of these into movies or something. So the price has gone way up and they're not worth that. Demon Hunter is, if you can find a copy of that. So yeah, I started collecting that, and this was definitely my favorite of the bunch.
Yeah, I found this for, I think, for like $3. It's a reader copy, but that's I prefer reader copies.
Yeah,
Yeah, look beat up, you know.
Yeah, exactly.
Well, this was an awesome one, man. Thanks for sharing this.
Yeah, right on.
You know,
Yeah,
it's
it's
like just
fun to
cool
recap.
to see. Yeah. So you have right now, there's a few issues left at Howling Pages of popped up your Sweet Sepulture primer. There's only 300 of them made. So folks, you know, get on that before it's too late. Anything else that you have coming up, want to talk about, or want to tell anybody where to find you on the webs?
So my Instagram is Cankor, Cankorr. I'm not as active on there as I have been, just because I've been so busy. But I'll post new art, you know, things that I'm working on, either for my new comic, Sweet Sepulchre, or I've got, you know, commissions that I'll, you know, put work in progress picks up. And then if you go to cankorcomic.com, that'll also take you to my Big Cartel store. You can still buy my hardcover there. And the new Sweet Sepulchre book will be crowdfunded starting at the end of May.
Okay.
Yep.
Awesome. All right. Well, everybody keep your eyes open for it. I'll put links to all the other stuff in there. And dude, Matthew, thank you so much for coming on and telling everybody about Demon Hunter. What a awesome issue.
Yeah, I hope everybody goes out and gets it.
Heck yeah, man. You raise the price so I can resell it.
That's right. There you go.
All right. Later.
Thanks.
Join my Patreon to see my work before anyone else. Plus, score physical sketchbooks, mini comics, and commissions delivered right to your door. And reading my new books, Something Seems Off and Three-Headed Pigman, as they are made. Go to my website to order original art, commissions, and my books, Lost Angels, Spectral: A Showcase of Fear, Chaotic Neutral, and more. Gray Matter Drip, The Art of Chris Anderson, is available now from Cosmic Lion Productions. Here are the upcoming conventions I'll be at the time of this recording. And don't forget to like, follow, and subscribe. It helps spread the word. Thanks.